Welcome back at 416. This morning, we're getting a look at what could come next after the U.S. launched strikes on Iran. Now, Iran's foreign minister said his country has, quote, a variety of options. CNN's Clarissa Ward explains how Iran could retaliate.
So essentially, there are a number of different options that Iran could pursue. It could try to invoke its various proxies in the region to engage in some kind of an attack against U.S. interests. But those proxies, Hamas, Hezbollah, have been vastly hurt by the conflict over the past 1.5 years. And so the question is whether they're really in a position to carry out major attacks, and certainly they've been pretty quiet so far. I've been speaking to a number of officials over the course of the day, and the sense is that Iraq is probably the U.S.'s most vulnerable spot. There are a number of Iranian-backed militias in Iraq, and Iraq is also, of course, where we saw after the U.S. killing of Soleimani back in 2020. We saw a large ballistic missile Iranian attack directly on the U.S. Al-Assad air base in Anbar province. Perhaps unsurprising then to that end that at least 500 diplomatic personnel have been pulled out of Iraq, so that's one to watch. But then there's also the possibility of something asymmetric. You could be looking at terrorism, for example. You could be looking at cyber. And then there's the possibility of an economic strike, which of course would be to try to close off the Strait of Hormuz, where 20% of oil shipping goes through, and that would have a huge impact across the region, but also in the U.S. on oil prices and then gas prices. So there are many different options at Iran's disposal here, but from talking to a number of experts in the region, the feeling seems to be that Iran needs to do something to exercise some kind of strength or try to show the restoration of deterrent to its own political constituents, domestically even. But they want to try to find that sweet spot between doing something splashy that restores some kind of sense of pride, if you will, from their perspective, but to do it in a way whereby there are not too many U.S. casualties, whereby they're not then invoking another round of retaliation. And then that would allow them to draw a line under this round, hunker down, and try to regroup and figure out what's ahead.